Congresswoman Ilhan Omar sparking bipartisan backlash again for anti-Semitic comments, this time igniting a Twitter feud over the weekend with fellow Democrat from New York, Nita Lowey, after suggesting U.S. politicians were being forced to, quote, pledge allegiance to Israel. Congresswoman Lowey firing back Sunday, tweeting, "I believe we can debate important policy without using offensive, painful stereotypes." This latest feud comes less than a month after Omar was called out for writing, quote, "It's all about the Benjamins, baby," suggesting lawmakers are bribed to support the country of Israel. Here to weigh in is Harvard Law School emeritus professor and author of The Case Against Impeaching Trump, Alan Dershowitz. Alan, good morning to you.
Good morning.
What's going on here?
Well, she is very anti-American. Put aside the anti-Israel. She's so anti-American. She accuses American members of Congress, men and women, Jewish, Christian, she accuses them, essentially, of doing it for the money. We know that Americans overwhelmingly support Israel because Israel is a democracy. It's America's strongest ally in the Middle East. It's the only country in the Middle East that America can always count on. You never know who's going to be the head of Egypt next month.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen in other countries. But you know that no matter who's elected in Israel, they're going to be very supportive of America. They're going to exchange intelligence information, military information. And her attack on supporters of Israel is an attack on America. And she accuses them of dual loyalty. Well, she supports Hamas. She supports other terrorist groups that are anti-American. If supporters of Israel are guilty of dual loyalty, which they're not, what about supporters of America's enemies? So, you know, her arguments are absurd. They're down at bottom. They're anti-American. And, of course, they're anti-Israel, which is America's strongest ally. And I think the response in Congress has been appropriate to condemn her and to marginalize her, and to make sure people understand she didn't run on this platform. This is a bait and switch. She's gotten in Congress now, and she's taken on herself to present the strongest anti-Israel case in modern history that any member of Congress has ever tried to present. And she's being rebuffed, except by the radicals in the Democratic Party who are jumping to her support. Some of them just on free speech grounds, but others on the merits.
Well, she has gone back and forth with members of Congress from her own party over the last 72 hours. And in fact, there's a tweet from, I believe, yesterday where she tripled down on some of her comments. She said, "Our democracy is built on debate, Congressman." Here she is referring to Nita Lowey of New York. "I should not have been expected to have allegiance, pledge support to a foreign country in order to serve my country in Congress or serve on committee. The people of the 5th elected me to serve their interest. I am sure we agree on that." Do you think that Nita Lowey is going to agree with her on that?
No, nobody has to take a pledge of any kind of pledge to serve in Congress in the United States. But she told her constituents when she ran that she would support America, and she is not. She is supporting America's enemies and undercutting American values. You know, the fact that she supports enemies of America and doesn't look herself in the mirror and say, my God, if I'm accusing people of dual loyalty, where are my loyalties? Are my loyalties to America, or are my loyalties to the Palestinian Authority, to Hamas, to Hezbollah? I'm not accusing her of dual loyalty. She has the right to express support for enemies of America. That's part of her role as a free person in Congress. But for her to accuse Jewish members of Congress and non-Jewish members of Congress of dual loyalty because they support America's allies, would you accuse somebody of dual loyalty if they supported England, if they supported France and other American allies? It's the worst canard, and it really goes back to some of the anti-Semitic tropes of the early 20th century and late 19th century, and she ought to be ashamed of herself. And the Democrats must marginalize her and distance her from the center of the party. And I hope she'll be primaried. And she should be beaten in a primary by people who support the United States and people who support American allies rather than people who support America's enemies.
Well, let's see what happens. Alan Dershowitz joining us from Miami. Sir, thank you very much for the point of view.
Thank you.